Donald Trump was just recorded stating that after his presidency ends, he'll just go ahead and run as prime minister in Israel. Take a listen to this clip and let's talk about it.
I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister, so maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%, so that's good. But I'm right now.
So I don't know what poll he's talking about. I tried to find it. Couldn't find one. That's the first thing. At this point, though, why does he already is one? He already is a prime minister for Israel, wearing an just wearing an American pin. He already is one. He already is one. There is no difference. So I was able to go through the polls, though. And I'm going to show you another clip here in a moment, but I was able to go through the polls on how Israelis do feel about Trump, and although it's not 99%, it's still pretty damn good. It's still pretty damn good. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. This was a Jerusalem Post article in February of this year, and according to the index's findings, 73% of Israelis rate Trump as a better than average U.S. president in terms of Israel's interests, with 49% describing him as one of the best presidents in U.S. history for Israel. 73%, 92% of the Israeli right believed Trump's presidency was above average, 92%, including 73% stating he was one of the best, whereas only 34% of the Israeli left held positive views of him. Keep in mind, 34% of the left holding positive views for Trump in Israel is massive. Massive. Imagine how much of the American left have positive views of Trump. Basically none. Basically none. And, you start to wonder why. Why are the Israelis so obsessed with him? Maybe it's because he lets Israel get absolutely anything they could ever want. And then you start to think about how, he's just fully backed up by Israel money. He's doing whatever the Israel wishes. Israeli billionaires, they'll try to get him a third term. You guys probably remember this clip here when Miriam Adelson, the lady who backed Trump $250 million, whose millions and millions of dollars was also recently used to take out Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie. You might remember this clip here when she was basically giddy about Trump trying to run for a third term and convincing him to. Take a listen to this.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years. And I said, Alan, I agree with you. So we can do it. Think about it.
Alan's
and
here someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan is here. Oh, he had a flight. Alan is here.
So everybody it sounds really awkward in the crowd. And she's talking, listen, do you hear that part right there?
Think about it.
Thank you.
Maybe I will be the first one who told you, or second. Yeah.
She said, think about it. I'll give you another 250. But her husband shall.
I will give you another $250 million. This is, again, an Israeli saying, I will give you another $250 million. This is who Trump is, guys. It's insane when you think about it. One, that she's an Israeli-American, lives in Israel, though, Israeli-American by citizenship. She lives in Israel, though. Everything she does is for the interests of Israel. She refused to state how she coerces American politicians. And she's so giddy about this. No wonder why Trump is so well liked in Israel. He's doing anything that they want. And I think it's insane that we hear her talking about Alan Dershowitz there as well in the background, stating Alan Dershowitz is here. Alan Dershowitz, Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer, is there, basically edging him on for the idea of Trump running a third term. They love him so bad. They want him to run a third term. Clearly, he works for the interests of Israel. I mean, that's been more than obvious, especially recently with the oust of Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie. There's another clip here that I want to show you guys of Mark Levin and the way Mark Levin loves to talk about Donald Trump. So let's take a listen to this. And then I believe this is also how he talks about how, it's really just Trump and how crazy the Democrats are now, really trying to make this a partisan thing, stating that they're super anti-Semitic, and again, just pushing all this Israeli nonsense. So let's take a listen to this.
The Democrat Party, as I speak, is withholding weapons from Israel. The Democrat Party is demanding that Israel capitulate to Hamas. You don't cut deals with people like that. You destroy them and you crush them. The greatest president in my lifetime is standing by to talk to you.
Here we have a president that have already proved that he is committed to Israel. I am eagerly waiting for him to enter the White House and to save the Jewish people. We need America, and we need President Trump.
We need America. Do you hear that? We need America. We need America. Keep that in mind.
That I am honored to call my friend, and maybe he is honored that I am his friend. Mr. President, the stage is all yours.
The bond between the United States and
I mean, she's saying it clearly. I just don't understand how this is legal. I don't understand how dual citizens, at the very bare minimum, dual citizens should not be able to fund elections. That sounds just pretty basic. If you have citizenship to two countries and you back U.S. elections, well, you have to question which citizenship do you care about more. When you're backing election, it matters. This sort of stuff matters. And we have somebody spending hundreds of millions of dollars clearly for only one thing, which is Israel. There's only one thing that interests her. And you might think, oh, well, it's just Donald Trump, that's it. And then after Donald Trump is gone, things are going to be different. No, things will not be different. There's Gavin Newsom, also going to be completely bought out by Israel. And then there's J.D. Vance, who is basically, basically an AI, Peter Thiel's puppet. You think he's gonna ever do anything that upsets Israel? Absolutely not. He's still gonna be a Zionist puppet, and they're still both, regardless of which side they land on. In order to win a U.S. presidential election, well, guess what? They're gonna have to be backed by basically Zionist billionaires. Paul Singer, all the rest, Miriam Adelson. They're gonna need some of that billionaire money. They are. That's the first thing they're gonna go do. It's been proven now. It's been shown time and time again, in order to win a U.S. presidential election, it just really comes down to who has more money to spend. That's really ultimately it. Who gets closer to $1 billion with a big B? Who has $1 billion to drop on a presidential election? That's ultimately what determines who becomes president, whoever uses the most money. So in order to make that much money, or in order to gain that much money and accrue that much money in order to become president, you have to make a lot of concessions. You have to be a pretty fake person. I think you have to be a pretty fake person in order to gain enough money to become president of the United States, because you're going to have to make a lot of concessions with different people. And you're going to have to get a lot of people to like you on every side. And you're going to have to basically say whatever you have to say in order to appease people. That's ultimately what you have to do as president, and you have to make sure that you don't come off as a threat to the establishment. Every single one of these presidents have known that if you come off as a threat to the establishment, well, they're not going to back you. And Trump is basically an example, is a perfect exemplification of that. Which is why what's so funny and what's become so obvious, especially recently now with Thomas Massie getting out, is that the establishment in Israel are very much so one and the same. If you upset the establishment, if you go against Israel, you upset the establishment, very much so. And we saw this so clearly. Thomas Massie upset Israel because he didn't want to send foreign aid to Israel because of his criticism, because of his comments. And what happened? Well, that made him a target, and the establishment went after him. Now, I think that if his district was a bit younger, maybe things would have been different. But right now, he was in a district where over half of the people that were voting in his district were over the age of 62, which is absolutely insane. And he ended up losing. And it basically has caused a chilling effect, especially in the Republican Party as well, that if you are critical of Israel, you will not be elected, and you will be attacked. You will be attacked by the billionaires, by the establishment, and that's definitely true on the left as well. That's what's been exemplified now. And, the Israelis, they're just laughing at it because they love to just remind us how just totally taken over we are by Israeli interests. Again, 92% of the right believes Trump's presidency was above average, and 73% of Israelis rate Trump as a better than average U.S. president in terms of Israel's interests. Trump doesn't even have that approval rating in the United States. Trump has a higher approval rating in Israel than he does in the United States of America. What's that say about how he operates as a U.S. president? Wild. So there was one U.S. president who I bring up a million times that actually put America's interest first, and that was U.S. President John F. Kennedy. Unfortunately, I don't see how we could ever have a president like that again in the future with money in politics the way they are now. So, if you see people in the comments, by the way, using the John F. Kennedy emoji and all of the other emojis like the censored emoji and everything else, you can use those emojis in the comments as well if you join as a member. So if you click the join button below next to the subscribe button, you can use those emojis, and you also get access to member-only videos I do pretty often on here. Hope you guys found this video interesting, and I will talk to you all again soon. Take care and have a great day. Bye, everybody.